right, we have 8. That's going to be minions, and that's going to be our 10th minion. So we'll get another XP roll if we all don't die here. Inside this room we have hobgoblins. Only one hobgoblin. Our single hobgoblin is a level 4. We're in a room so anyone can attack. We'll go ahead and just go with Jack Thor. He has a +2 with his sword. And that is all it took. 2 + 2 is 4 for this level 4 hobgoblin. Very easy to take care of. And we get to attempt another XP roll. We'll go with the green die and Jack Thor again since he didn't succeed. Makes it this time and is now level 3. The hobgoblins allow us to roll on the treasure table +1. 3 + 1 is 4, so we found 1 gem worth 2d6 × 5. So that's 9 × 5, 45 gold gem. Not too bad. We've hit another dead end, which means we're going to have to backtrack some. And what we'll do is we'll go back into the area where we ran into that orc brute just a few moments ago. And then we'll head north through the room with the giant centipede that we took care of. And then we'll head to the north through this eastern door. We're going backwards again into the corridor where the orc brute was at, which means we need to put Jack Thor and Eilbor in the rear before we head in there. And no encounter this time. We're headed into another corridor where the giant centipedes were, so we'll keep the marching order like it is. And no encounter there. Now we can head through that door to the north and encounter 33. A very small corridor, but it does have an exit. We headed through the door to the north into this small corridor. We do have an option to go through here, but first let's see what's in here. In this tight corridor, we are dealing with an empty corridor. I think we'll go ahead and search it. Before we search it though, we're going to flip our order around. Well, actually, Jack Thor and Eilbor are already in the back because I forgot to change it before I came through this door. 6 - 1, which means we get to choose. Find a clue, a secret door, or a hidden treasure. Well, there is an exit here, so I think I'll go ahead and take the clue, and we'll mark down a second clue on Eilbor. We'll get our marching order straight with Jack Thor and Eilbor up front, and we'll head through that door to the east. And through that door we have 46, which is going to end up being another dead end for us, even though it's a nice sized room. We're running out of options down here, except for backtracking all the way to here, but I think going this way, since we have several options over here to head to the northern part of the dungeon. But let's see what we're dealing with inside this big dead end room. 9, also empty. We'll go ahead and search it. Before we search, we'll put Jack Thor and Eilbor in the rear. Only thing we got to worry about is rolling a 1 for a wandering monster. And we rolled a 6. So we get to choose again. And do I want the clue here, or do I want to find a secret door? I think this time I'm going to take the secret door. That way I don't have to backtrack through a minimum of 3 areas. Chose to place the secret door on the close to the northwestern part of the room. That way I'm a little bit further from this eastern boundary, and I have a nice wide area to come up to the north here. So let's see what's on the other side of that door, since we can spy through it. And before we do that, we have to check and see if this is a secret exit from the dungeon that we can use later also. It is not. And on the other side of the secret door, 64. That's not bad. That'll extend us further to the north and provide us with another exit. We have our room drawn in, giving us more room to head toward the northern part of the dungeon. We got a nice exit on the other side. But before we enter, let's peek inside and see what we're dealing with. 7. It's going to be some more minions to deal with. What kind of minions? Trolls. We haven't run into trolls yet. D3 trolls. So we're going to run into 2 of them. Inside the room we see 2 trolls that are level 5. They get 1 attack per round. With trolls, whenever you kill one, another character must take their combat turn to cut it up. Otherwise it has a chance of regenerating on its next turn and then getting up and fighting more. And this is our path to the north, so I think we are going to go in. We get to surprise them, so the first round they're going to be considered level 4. The only character we have with a sharp-edged weapon is Jack Thor's sword. So I'm going to have all of the other characters go first. That way if they take one of the trolls out, Jack Thor can use his turn to slice it up. We'll start with Elbor. She gets a +1. Oh, well, hold on. That's an 11. That's an 11 +1 for 12. That's enough to take both trolls down. Way to go, Elbor. Jack Thor will take his turn to cut the troll up. That leaves 1 troll left that we weren't able to cut up because we have no other sharp-edged weapons. So that means it's the troll's turn. And on a 5 or a 6, when I roll a d6, it gets back up. Oh, it gets back up. It came back to life and can continue to fight. Jack Thor will spring forward to take the troll's attack. We're still in the first round, so it's still considered a level 4, and he gets a +2 for his defense. Easily defends. Again, we'll have the other characters go first, starting with Elbor and her +1, hitting with her mace. And that is enough. That's a 6. All she had to do was get at least a 5 because it's now a level 5. And Jack Thor will cut this troll to pieces with his turn. No problems there at all. Trolls have a normal treasure and we can roll on the treasure table. It's a 2, so that's 2 d6 gold. 11, not bad. It's time for our group to crack into this top third of the dungeon and we'll head through the door to the north. Hopefully we can roll something with multiple exits. 35. Nope, that's going to take us right into a dead end. It's a big room, so we have to see what we're dealing with. Inside this very large room, we have more minions. More fungi folk. 2d6. Ooh, 9 of them. Big group. Getting plenty of fighting in this dungeon. We have our fungi folk. Level 3, 9 of them. If one of our characters is wounded, they have to save versus level 3 poison or take an additional wound. We're in a room, so everyone can participate. So we'll go right on down the line, starting with Jack Thor, who gets to add his level, so he gets to add 3 onto his sword attack, which is 6. That's enough to take out 2 of them. Elbor the cleric adds +1 to her mace attack. Also a 6. She takes out 2. 5 remaining. We take out 1 more. They're going to be at the halfway point, or under the halfway point, and we'll have to test morale. We have Dothwin. She adds her level, but her -2 because she has no weapons makes this an even attack. Oh, here we go. It's Ninja Elf. So that is 9 total. She takes out 3 with her punches and kicks. Only 2 remaining. Are they brave? No, they're not. They get out of here. That is our first group of minions that ran away. The only smart ones so far. They have a normal treasure, which is not very much. They only dropped a little bit. 1 gold piece. We're going to have to backtrack now through the troll room, back through our secret door, through this corridor, into the giant centipedes room, into the vampire bats corridor, and then head north. So we're going to have to backtrack through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas. As we're headed back through these areas, Jackthorn Elbor will be bringing up the rear until we get all the way back to where we need to go. In the troll room, no. In our large empty room with the secret door, no encounter. The small corridor, no encounter. The room with the giant centipedes, no. Almost there. Vampire bats, yes, there's going to be a wandering monster in that final corridor. Sneaking up behind us, we have a weird monster. And it is a chimera. We have our chimera sneaking up, going to attack our two characters in the rear, Jackthorn Elbor, or it might breathe fire here. It has 6 life, is a level 5. On every one of the chimera's turns, you have to roll a d6, and if you get a 1 or a 2, it breathes fire instead of performing its 3 attacks. If it breathes fire, everyone has to save versus a level 4 fire or lose 1 life. So the first thing we need to determine is it going to breathe fire? It is not. It's going to attack. So we got Jackthorn Elbor. The first 2 attacks, 1 to Jackthor, 1 to Elbor, and the third are cleric. So 1 to the warrior and 2 to the cleric. It is a level 5. They can't use their shield. Our warrior Jackthor gets to add +1. Is not successful and will take a wound, reducing his health down to 7. The remaining 2 attacks are against Elbor the cleric, who also has a +1 due to light armor. Not enough. Each one of those would be a 5, but unfortunately the chimera is a level 5, so she needed a 6. That is 2 wounds, taking her down to 2 life. Now we're getting into dangerous territory for the cleric. Keep in mind our cleric can heal herself. Even during combat, she just wouldn't be able to attack on the same round that she healed. I think this is getting quite dangerous. We'll do 1 round of attacks here, or should I use my sleep scroll? She could add her level onto her sleep scroll attack. I don't want to risk Elbor getting attacked again, because she would have to heal here. Yeah, let's go ahead and have Dothwin use her sleep scroll against this chimera. So she's going to add her level, +2. Perfect. A 7 is definitely enough. She's able to put the chimera to sleep. And once it's out, we take it down. That weird monster will give us an XP roll. No treasure though. And we'll have Elbor the cleric not level up. Before we move on, I forgot to mention that when Dothwin leveled up, she was able to have an additional spell, because she gets 1 spell per level per adventure. She only has 1 spell in her repertoire, so I added another sleep spell on. We just finished taking out the sleeping chimera. We can choose to head to the east to this tiny little area, or we can go to the north where we have more room. I'm going to head to the north. 12. And again, that is our tiny little corridor, but it has an exit on the other side. Another small corridor, but we do have a little bit of room to exit to the north here. What are we dealing with? A 2 in the corridor. Roll d6 treasure table. Very nice. It's a good thing too, because I forgot to flip the marching order around. And there's only d6 gold. And we found 2 gold on the ground, probably from the fleeing fungi folk they dropped along the way. We'll head through our door to the north, and this time we're going to switch the marching order up a little bit. I'm going to put Jackthor and Dothwin up front, because Elbor is still hurt pretty bad. She only has 2 life, and I want to try and conserve that last healing spell as long as I can. Just beyond that door to the north, 45. That is unfortunate, because no matter how I spin this, it's just going to dead end into the fungi folk room. There's really nowhere for us to go, but we'll check to see what's in this corridor. Maybe we'll get lucky and find a secret door and we can head to the west. Inside our little corridor, 8 is empty, so we still have a chance. Before we search, we're going to put Jack Thor and Dothwin in the rear, because we are in a corridor. Oh, that's unfortunate, because it's a corridor, it's -1, which means it stays empty. We were almost able to get a secret door. Now we have to find a path, so we're going to have to at least go back 1, 2. We could go in here, but that's not going to really get us anywhere. So if we go back 1, 2, 3, 4, then we can head to the north. And we'll do that. We'll go that route and backtrack through 4 rooms. We'll keep Jack Thor and Dothwin in the rear. First we'll go into our small little 2 gold piece corridor. No encounter. Back through the Vampire Bat Chimera room, or corridor, no encounter. Now the Iron Eater room, none. And finally, where the skeletal rats were. No encounter. Excellent. Now we're going to head to the north, through that door, and hopefully find something with exit options. 51, and that will give us a few options. This corridor will give us more options since we have 2 exits. Let's see what we're dealing with inside there. Our branching corridor is empty. I could search it. And I forgot to flip my marching order around, so Jack Thor and Dothwin are still in the rear, which is fine because I'm going to search this corridor. Whoo, and it's going to be a wandering monster because it's -1. Let's see what we're dealing with. 2, some vermin. 2d6 goblin swarmlings. 12 of them. Well, I guess it's good that we encountered them in a corridor. That way we don't take 12 attacks at once, just 2 at a time. We have our 12 goblin swarmlings. They're level 3. When they check morale, it's at a -1. Jack Thor will defend first against 1 of them. His light armor providing a +1. Oh! Well, at least he has the health to absorb it. He's down to 6 life. And Dothwin also has light armor, giving her a +1. Oh, and she fails, taking her down to 4 life. Just the overwhelming number and the surprise. Those little things were able to get in and do some damage. But now Jack Thor is angry. He adds his level, +3. Let's change dice. That one wasn't too helpful. That one's not very helpful either. 2 + 3 is only a 5, so he only manages to take 1 out. Elbor, using her mace at +1, also only takes out 1, leaving 10 more. I said the wrong name there. That was Dothwin, not Elbor, which means she fights at an even, so that 2 was nothing. It was a miss. Now the characters will get attacked. Jack Thor first. And this time he can use his shield and his light armor, giving him a +2 to defend. Oof. This time, adding 2 on helped him. No problem. And Dothwin, she has light armor for her defense, so +1. That is not enough, because they're level 3. So she's down to 3 life. If things keep up, I might have to consider my remaining sleep spell just to keep us from dying here. Alright, Jack Thor, adding his level, +3. Time to do some damage. That's a little bit better. That's an 8. That takes out 2. Still leaving 9. And Dothwin will attack and miss miserably. She must be getting really tired with all this punching and kicking. Now, the swarmlings will attack. Jack Thor first. Easily defends. Dothwin easily defends. Alright, we're still okay. Don't need to consider using the sleep spell quite yet. Jack Thor attacks at +3. That's 6. That's enough to take out 2. That's 5 down, 7 to go. If we can take out 2 more, we can make them check their morale. Dothwin takes out one more. We're at the halfway point. We just have to defend against these attacks. Jack Thor, successful. Dothwin, very successful. All right. Come on, Jack Thor. Anything but a 1. That is even better. 6 plus 1 is 7. Plus 3 is 10. That's enough to take out 3 more. There's only 3 remaining. They need to check their morale at a -1. But they're brave, brave goblin swarmlings. They are going to stick around. Dothwin attacks. That's enough to take 1 out. Just enough. The 2 remaining swarmlings level an attack. 1 against Jack Thor. Defends, and Dothwin does not defend and is down to 2 life. Finally, can Jack Thor take out these remaining 2? He cannot. Dothwin takes out 1. We're down to the final swarmling. It's going to attack Jack Thor and miss. And finally, we'll switch it up. Jack Thor, don't roll a 1. Can you take out this goblin swarmling? He can. That was a tough group of vermin. We're in rough shape here. Before we move on, I'm going to have Aelbor use her final healing spell on herself, since she has a mace, and we'll put her back up front. She can heal D6 plus level, and she gains back 6. It's time to do a quick status update here. We have Jack Thor, our warrior, level 3, with 6 life and 7 gold. Aelbor the cleric, she healed herself all the way back up to her max of 7. She is level 2. She also has 7 gold. She used up her final healing spell to do that. Dothwin, she used the bandages that she had in reserve and bandaged herself, bringing her back up to 3. She's also a level 2 with 7 gold. She has 1 sleep spell remaining, thanks to her previous level up. And I think next time we get a chance to level up, I may go with her, because then that would give her access to another spell, and we can have more sleep in reserve. And our little guy hanging out in the back most of the time, our lantern bearer, 6 gold, 5 remaining life, level 2, and he has that 45 gold piece gem in his pouch. It is time for us to move on. We have our marching order reset. Now Jack Thor and Aelbor are up front, with Dothwin and Gardfus in the back. And we're going to go through the western side here and head to the north. On the other side of our door, 32. That's going to give us some more options. We have a number 4 shaped corridor here, pretty large. We got 2 exits both in the north, so that gives us some more options. So it looks like we're going to really be able to open this area up now. But let's see what we're dealing with in this corridor. 6. Gonna have to deal with some vermin here. A 1 is 3d6 rats, and no treasure either. Oh, that's 4 rats, and 9 total. Inside this corridor we have 9 rats that are level 1, which means hopefully they should be not too difficult to take care of. Anytime anyone is wounded, they have a 1 in 6 chance of getting an infection and taking an additional wound. Up front we have Jack Thor and Aelbor again. Jack Thor's a level 3, so he's going to add 3 onto his attack with the sword. And 6, so he's going to take out 6 rats with that first swing, which immediately puts them below half. Let's see if they flee. They do not. The remaining 3 rats will be attacked by our cleric Aelbor. She's going to add 1 on to her attack. Oh, well, let's see how... 11. Yeah, I think the rats are dead. We made quick work of the vermin there, so we're going to head through this door to the north, the eastern door here to the north. Through the door, 65. Oof, that's going to end up dead-ending us into the northern part of the dungeon. Our path to the north has ended in this collapsed corridor. So now we have to see if there's anything inside here. 11. Oh, it's a boss. This could be it. The final boss could be hiding in the northernmost part of this dungeon, right near this collapsed corridor. Well, now that I think about it, this is going to be the final boss, because we can't roll anything less than a 7 to check. We've encountered 3 weird monsters, which count towards the final boss check roll, and we've encountered 3 other boss creatures, which is 6 already. So we don't even have to roll to see if this is the final boss, because it definitely is. So our adventurers have all made it alive to the final boss here in this corridor, and the final boss will be, oh no, it's a Medusa. Our final boss is a Medusa. She normally has 4 health, but since she is the final boss, she'll get an additional health for 5. She is level 4. And instead of 1 attack, she'll get 2 attacks per round, again because she's the final boss. But first, before we fight her, we have to survive her initial gaze attack. First, we need to survive a level 4 gaze attack. First, we have Jack Thor. Whew, just made it. Aelbor. Whew, very good. So we have our 2 strongest fighters available. Dothwin. Oh, she got turned to stone. And Gardfus. He made it. So we only lost 1 right now, and we can turn our elf back if we defeat the boss with Aelbor's blessing spell. We're in a corridor anyway, but unfortunately we lose the ability to use our sleep spell, so we're going to have to fight our way out of this one. Alright, here we go. We got Jack Thor and Aelbor up front, ready to fight. We have a level 4 Medusa. Let's start with the green die. Jack Thor attacks with his level, so he gets to add 3 on. Oh my, that is how you do it. We have 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 3 is 13. That is enough to inflict 3 wounds. Wow. The Medusa is already below half life, but the final bosses fight to the death. Aelbor, with her mace, plus 1. That is not going to do anything, which means the Medusa will attack each character once, since she has 2 attacks. And I almost forgot, she is below half, so she is now effectively a level 3, which means that Aelbor did inflict a wound with that roll of 2 plus 1. Perfect. Only 1 life left. That means our level 3 Medusa will attack. First we have Jack Thor with a light armor and a shield. Fails. Takes a wound. Down to 5 life. Aelbor succeeds with the shield and light armor. That's a plus 2. That's enough to defend. Jack Thor raises his sword, ready to try to vanquish our Medusa. He gets to roll at a plus 3, so anything other than a 1 means the final boss is defeated. The swing of the sword lops off the Medusa's head, and that is all for our final boss. But we're not out of the woods yet, or out of the dungeon yet, because we have to escape. But first, let's get our loot. We get to roll plus 1 on the treasure table. Ugh, that's not very good. But the final boss gold is tripled, or raised to 100 gold pieces, whichever is better. So we get 2d6 gold, and I don't think we can get to 100 even if we triple it. That's 11, that would be 33, so yep, we're going to bump that up to 100. So we get 100 gold to split amongst the party members. And we will have Aelbor, the cleric, cast her blessing spell to bring Dothwin back. I don't believe I have to roll for my blessing. I get to add my level on when casting blessing and healing spells. So I would add 2. And I'm trying to turn a character from stone back to flesh that is a level 2 character I believe all I'd have to do is at least not roll a 1 because I would need a 2, I'm guessing. Let's roll anyway. Okay, well, we'll say it was successful whether I had to roll or not. That was a 5, so that definitely would have taken care of it, and Dothwin is back. Let's do a XP roll for Aelbor. And she gained a level and is now level 3. With our final boss defeated, it is now time to escape the dungeon. Let's do a quick status update before we do so. Jackthor, our warrior, level 3, currently has 5 life and 32 gold. Same starting equipment. Aelbor the cleric is now level 3 with 8 life and 32 gold. Same equipment also. 2 blessing spells remaining. Dothwin the elf is now back to a flesh and blood being. Level 2, only 3 life and 32 gold. Has 1 sleep spell remaining. And finally Gardfus Gamwich, our halfling, has 5 life, level 2, 31 gold. Still holding on to that gem, doesn't have any other equipment right now. It's time for us to leave the dungeon through the entrance that we came in. We'll have the marching order with Dothwin and Gardfus up front, with Jackthor and Aelbor in the rear, because if we get attacked by anything, it's going to be a wandering monster that sneaks up on us. We're way up here in the room where the Medusa was, so we have to backtrack. And what's the most direct route? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 areas. If we go that way, it looks like it'd be longer to go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah. So we're already beyond that. So that's the route we're going to take. So we'll start with the room where the rats were, where we ran into the goblin swarmlings, skeletal rats, iron eater room, vampire bat and chimera room, giant centipede, orc brute, and finally our entrance where we ran into a wandering mummy. As we escape, we need to roll. Anytime we get a 1, we're going to run into a wandering monster. First up, we have the rat room, or rat corridor, no problem. Into the room with the goblin swarmlings, nothing. The skeletal rat corridor, clean. The iron eater room, nothing. The vampire bat chimera corridor, no encounter, doing good. Only 3 areas left. The giant centipede corridor, oh, we're going to run into something there. So the progress we made it through the rat room, the goblin swarmling corridor, skeletal rat corridor, into the iron eater room, vampire bat chimera room clear, and finally we ran into something here in the corridor where the giant centipedes were. Our wandering monster will be, lucky for us, vermin. 3d6 vampire bats, 5, 10 of them. We have our 10 level 1 vampire bats we have to deal with. Luckily we're in a corridor, so only the 2 in the front are going to go at us. Hopefully we don't all die at the hand of vampire bats just a few steps away from the entrance. Jackthor and Aelbor will both have to defend without their shields on this initial attack. So it's Jackthor +1, defended, and Aelbor +1, also defended. Jackthor will swing his sword, adding 3 to his attack of 6. That takes out more than half the vampire bats. Will they stick around? Yes, they will. 4 vampire bats remaining. Aelbor steps forward, whirling her mace in the air, and misses. That was unexpected. Again, each character must defend. Anything other than a 1 means they're successful in defending, thanks to their light armor and shields. Jackthor, no problem. Aelbor also defends. Jackthor will now attack with his sword. Anything other than a 1, because he has a +3, means the final 4 bats will be vanquished. And he takes care of them. We're almost out. We finished off the vampire bats. We need to go through the orc brute corridor into the final room where we met that mummy and then out. So 2 more areas to clear. Our first room, which is the corridor with the orc brute, no encounter, and finally our entrance, and we have made it out. Our group of adventurers has made it out alive, all 4 of them. Got a little bit of money each so we can buy some new equipment and go on further adventures. I'll definitely look through my other books. I have all the other expansions and see if I can take some of these characters through that. Hopefully in another adventure or 2 they'll be up to level 5 and we'll move on to the higher level adventures also. And sometime in the future probably do another playthrough with one of the expansions. Maybe I'll do that as one of my Patreon exclusive playthroughs. But we have other games to get to now. We have our pending Bios Megafauna playthrough here in Wave 1, and then we have some polls that'll be coming up soon for the other 2 slots in Wave 1. I thank you for watching my second playthrough of 4 Against Darkness. Again, this is a very low cost option. You just have to get 1 book. And if you own a pencil and some 6-sided dice, you're all set after you get that book. The expansions are very cost effective. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Happy adventuring, and I'll see you in my next video.